Hey, you feel that? You are now tuned into You Feel That with Bryce the Third.
So I've had a couple of conversations recently with people in my circle about the process and how important it is to have this conversation with our process. And I think sometimes we can get discouraged by those moments of confusion of, oh, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing here. Oh, matter of fact, I want to bang my head against the wall because I've been looking for this answer. Where are the answers to the questions that I'm asking moments? And I think that it's in those moments that the process is at play. And when we set intention, when we get real specific about what it is that we want, and we begin to ask for it in a real specific way, all of the universe conspires to lead us down the path that allows for us to obtain or manifest that thing that it is that we've set intention for. So all of it, every single piece of it is a part of that process. And that includes those moments where I'm confused, or I don't know where I'm going. I don't even know what my next step is. I explained a little bit of this in a podcast that I did with David from iinerwealth and Inception, the mental health gym here in Michigan. And we talked a bit about my 3-step process. And I'm working on figuring out a way to synthesize it and something that would make it easily digestible and creating a platform where you can tap into and dig deeper into this process. But it's a 3-step process of gaining our personal power in the middle of this process of manifesting what it is that we're out to manifest. And it's one, we pray. When I say prayer, some people aren't religious. I'm not religious. Prayer is a form of asking something bigger than me for what it is that I want, whatever that looks like to you. Then we meditate. A lot of people can be turned off by meditation because they feel like I'm not going to be able to shut my mind off, and I have way too many thoughts, and that's not what meditation is, at least in the practice that I practice. The meditation that I practice is to allow the thoughts to be what they are without having to shut the mind off and allowing the mind to do exactly what it does. And it also brings me into closer contact with that bigger voice, that voice that isn't all those thoughts, that voice that isn't all that rumination and all those different fluctuating thoughts, like that bigger voice that kind of gives me the answer. So if I've asked specifically for what it is that I want, then in meditation, I sit still long enough to receive downloads that give me instructions as to what to do next. And then the 3rd step, take action. Take action towards what it is that comes. And so the action is it can be a complicated process, because if we think about the nature of thoughts turning to actions, like a lot of times we'll get thoughts, it's like, oh, I should start a computer chip company or whatever, the first thing that just came to my mind. And immediate other thoughts are like, nah, nobody like me does that. Nah, imagine how much it would be to make that happen. Oh, you probably have to have a lot of money. Oh, you like, so then the thoughts that come and talk us out of whatever it is that we've been called to, like we asked for, I want greater purpose. And what came back was, oh, I want to start this computer chip company. And then we immediately begin to use thoughts. We start to grab onto thoughts again and turn it into a thing that goes against that information that was given to us. So what I've learned is to begin to take action, and action gets me outside of my head and into my process. So I don't know how long I can carry this computer chip company analogy, but let's just use the analogy for me. Like, I asked for something bigger than what it was that I was in the midst of creating when I was working for an assembly plant, a car assembly plant. Like, I want something better. I want something more in alignment. I didn't even know who I was. So I didn't know what alignment meant for me. Like, I just knew that I needed something more in alignment with me. So in that, I was asking the question, who am I? And I was also asking what aligns with that. Look, I know you was vibing and I hate to interrupt your flow. We're going to get right back to the episode in a second. But I interrupt the program for good reasoning. Look, if you are here listening to You Feel That, the absolute best emotional, mental, and spiritual empowerment podcast for creatives and entrepreneurs, chances are you're either being called to build something and are looking for where to start. You've already defined what it is that you're looking to build and are currently fleshing that out. And you're here looking for encouragement, motivation, and more context for yourself and your business to help you to continue to manifest. Or maybe you've been around the block a few times. You've taken something from ideation to creation. And you know in order to stay on top of your game and continue to win, you have to stay sharp. And you're here to make sure that you're perpetually the sharpest tool in the shed. So I got to thinking, what is one common problem that all three of these people share? Number one, knowing who we are. We don't know who we are. Even when you achieve something, even when you accomplish something, it can be hard to figure out who we are because once we accomplish something, things change. Life continuously changes. And in those changes, we continuously change. We cannot stay the same or else we become obsolete. And look, I could just hear your ears perking up. You may not know who you are right now in this season of your life. And number two, where we're going. Whether this is your first time setting out on your entrepreneurial adventure or you're a veteran who spent the block a few times, the destination always changes because when we get there, there's somewhere else to go. And then when we get there, there's somewhere else to go. So a process that allows for us to have a finger on the pulse of our internal compass, regardless of what the external circumstances are, is invaluable to our process of building anything great. All right, I hear your ears perking up again. You don't have a process. So look, you don't know who you are and you don't have no process. What if I told you I wrote a manual to help you discover these things within yourself? I hear those ears perking up again. The Handbook, a pocket guide for creating your desired reality and being a good human while you're at it, is available for purchase right now. Within this book, we dig into and develop a foundation within ourselves of perception, gratitude, understanding, completion, all of the timeless principles that will help you to discover your path for the first time or for the 12th time. This book will help you find yourself or remember who you are, as well as get clear on the pathway towards what it is you're looking to create. If this sounds like something you could benefit from, you need to go ahead and grab your copy. Head on over to brycethethird.com/the handbook. The link is conveniently located in the podcast description below wherever you're looking at or listening to this podcast. You can even go on Amazon and search on Amazon The Handbook by Bryce the Third and grab your copy. When I first got started on my entrepreneurial journey, I wish I had a handbook to help me discover who it is that I am and where it is that I'm going. And now you got one. Grab your copy of the handbook today and unlock the key to your clarity in business and in life. All right, back to the show. So I'm asking two questions. I don't even know I'm asking, but at least I'm asking. So I'm praying. All right. And then I meditate. I get real quiet. Like I admit that I don't know, which allows for me to move the I to the side and then allow for higher knowledge to come in. And then when I was faced with, I think I had a conversation that became the catalyst to like me just taking the first step. And it was like, what would you do if you could do anything right now? What would you do? Because before I was asked that question, I was doing eBay, Amazon. I was selling books, like trying to just get $1. And this person that asked me, what would you do if it wasn't about the money, but you could just do anything that you wanted to do? And I was like, of course I do my music. And so she said, well, go about creating music for a year. And if it doesn't work out, you can't say you didn't try. And long story short, here we go. Here I am, right? Like that was the beginning of the process, the beginning of me learning how to get even more specific as to what it is that I want. So I asked the question by praying, and then by meditating, I allowed for that answer to come in. I attracted people who were going to ask me questions like, well, what do you really want? And then I listened to the questions that was asked, and then I proceeded to take action that would bring me into alignment with what it is that I've asked for. And then repeat, and then repeat. And then you just continue to get more specific about what it is that you ask for. And then you listen, get more specific, get more intentional about your listening process. How can I sit still long enough to allow for something bigger than me to come in? How can I create cognitive awareness of when it's my gibbling thoughts and like when it's a higher power? What does that look like? What does my relationship with something bigger than me look like? Who am I? So just these conversations that, yes, I admit are a bit spiritual and might turn some off, but if that turns you off, I don't know. You might not belong in this space. I don't know what to tell you because that's what we do here. That's what we do here. We take spiritual things and manifest these ideas, these ethereal things that we have in our minds and in our spirit, and we bring them into fruition. So I want $1 million. Like, okay, what's on the end of that? Like, what is so that could be what it is that began as the prayer. Like, I pray for $1 million. Then I meditate, and what comes back is like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you care about? What do you want $1 million for? And it's like all these questions. Now I got to answer because I've asked this question. And in answering those questions, it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't really want $1 million. Maybe I just want to feel accepted. Maybe I just want to feel like I can move around like I really desire to. Maybe I feel like, I don't want people calling me, asking me like, can I do this and can I do that? And I could just do that if I want to. Maybe I don't want to feel like, when Christmas time come, I got to be like this or like that, or, like those motivations that come back. And then we take action in ways that align our life with that reality that we really want. It's like, okay, well, if that's the case, let me, put my finances over here. Let me put my money into something let me research money. Like, what is money? Like, what is this kind of, like, I begin these conversations, and it's this continuous 3-step dance, this continuous process that allows for us to get more specific about what it is that we want, meditate on it and take action on it, and then to get more specific, meditate on it and take action on it, and continuously, we will manifest the life that we live and that we want. Or better. And so the or better is what allows for me, for like the bigger voice to come in, because sometimes, like, my question, and that's the whole process of it being a process of 1, 2, 3, because I might in step 1 ask for something, but it's this current version of me asking for it. And then when I meditate, or better, allow for like something else to come in that shows me like, oh, maybe it's not even that. So then I can develop in my understanding and get more specific about what it is that I want. And that's the process. So I think it's just important how this process plays a role into our process. Where it's like we have these moments where we're confused and we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know what direction to go in, or we don't know why we feel the ways that we feel. Like these periods are necessary. They're a necessary part of the process. If you're experiencing it, it's necessary to begin with. I think the times that we suffer the most is when we push away what we're experiencing. Like, I'm not supposed to be experiencing this. Like, there's things that I go through as a human being, wanting to have compassion and understanding for other human beings, and there'll be instances where like I don't feel that way. And instead of allowing that to be what it is, like, this is a season of life that I'm in right now, like, I'll try to push it away. Like, nah, that's not what I want to, like, I just want to just not feel anything about this person. I just want to allow this person to live and just be who it is that they are. And then I begin to suffer, because it's like, well, but right now you're experiencing this, so we have to let that flow through. And there's really not a lot of pieces to this process. It's the 1, 2, 3, the ask, the listen, the take action. Ask even more specifically, the listen, the take action. And what I've learned about feelings in parallel to this process is like just learning to do the things that like bring you clarity. So a good indication that something is something that I need to be putting my time and energy into is just something that is like, oh, like this is clarity. Like, I am not confused here. Like this, like I know how to show up. And as I show up, I learn more as to how I'm supposed to show up. Whereas, like, there's certain things and certain people in certain places that when we get around it and we're trying to wrap our head around, like, how could this even exist? Or what is my relationship to this thing? Or like, why am I even here? What is this? Like, those, like, cumbersome, confusing, frustrating things, like when we take our energy off of those and put it into what it is that we find clarity in, we'll find clarity in so many other things. But what we usually do is we'll take the things that confuse us and pound our head against it and just like, I have to solve this conundrum, and it just creates more confusion in other aspects and areas of our lives. But when we focus in on the things that bring us clarity, that clarity ekes into every other aspect of our lives, and then we become clearer and clearer as we go about. I just want to make sure you all listening to You Feel That heard it first. I will be fleshing this out, synthesizing this, and developing this process to be able to put it into your hands and empower you to be able to do whatever it is that you're called to do. We can move in the face of fear. We can be courageous and scared at the same time. This isn't a mutually exclusive thing where it's like, oh, in order to be a leader, I have to be fearless. Like, nah, fear is going to exist. It's the difference between those who lead and those who don't is that the people who lead like walk regardless of the fear that they experience, regardless of the anxiety that they experience. Not to put it to the side and not to suppress, here we feel that we don't do suppression. We bring it all out. And as we work through it, we continue to walk in our path and create the things that we are called to create. And one last thing, and it's funny too, I think the more that we create, the more that we'll create. Like there'll always be something that we'll want to bring manifest. There'll always be something else that we want to bring into fruition. And so this process never ends. This process never ends. We'll continuously be creating. So to enjoy the process and to be here in the midst of the process and to be present and to be aware and to have fun in the process and to enjoy it and learning to be satisfied in the manifestation, like right now, not when we get it or when we get there, because we never get there, because as soon as we get there, there's somewhere else to go. We'll always be creating. So every time we create, there'll be something else to create. So let's continue to put our foot on the gas and get these things done and bring these things manifest, but also let's be satisfied and enjoy the process along the way. And if anybody ever questions you as to why you moved this way, just point it my way. I'll take the blame for it. Tell them Bryce told you. Y'all know what it is. It's a short one today. Go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review and leave a paragraph or so in the comments so you can let people know how cool we are here at You Feel That. If you want to reach out to me, you can catch me at Bryce the Third on Instagram and at You Feel That Podcast. And if you want to take this relationship to the next level, text me at 313-254-5972. Once again, that's 313-254-5972. Text podcast. And as always, be intentional, love on each other, and have compassion for your process. I'll catch you on the next episode of You Feel That with Bryce the Third.